At St. Luke Lutheran Church in Southwest Portland, a confirmation class of children asks for your donation. Donations for sick kids and their families to make their stay at Portland's Doernbecher Hospital a little easier.
I think you could donate anything you pretty much wanted that would help Nicholson's foundation with the kids for cancer.
Back in 2001, it was leukemia that killed 3-year-old Nick Wilson.
His little body gave up a great big fight, but eventually all of his organ system started to fail, and he eventually died on April 30th of 2001.
After his death, Nick's mother, Jill Metz, began the Nick Wilson Charitable Group. The goal, to help families in Doernbecher's Pediatric bone marrow transplant program.
This is one way that we can give back to the community and people that are unfortunately following the same path as us.
When your child's diagnosed with cancer, your world changes very quickly.
Nick's father says it's even tougher for families living outside Portland, since Doernbecher's is the only hospital in Oregon performing children's bone marrow transplants.
Not only just disrupting their lives to have their child in the hospital, but they're leaving there. They're going to a different city. They've got to find living arrangements.
He was a great kid, and he enjoyed life as much as he could in that short time that he had.
Haley Wilson, Nick's sister, describes how hard it was on the family to have her brother in the hospital for months.
My dad would spend the night with him, and then my mom would come before my dad had to leave for work, and she'd spend days with him.
And while St. Luke's donations are going well, the Nick Wilson Charitable Group can always use more. The kids say it's nice to help others.
He was a very spirited little boy who loved sports, like a lot of little boys.
He was a very compassionate kid. He felt bad when other people felt bad and tried to make them feel better in his own way.
He really just plowed through life.
Concentration was on his treatment, how he was doing, waiting on pins and needles for lab counts and results and scans, bone marrow biopsy results, taking him to and from the hospital. I mean, that's just, it becomes your life. When a kid goes into the intensive care unit with cancer after a complication, they don't come out of there very often. And after the second week, and further complications and different things happening, it just became apparent he wasn't going to make it.
It was probably a year or two after he died that we decided we wanted to really focus on bone marrow transplant families. The funding that we raise just goes directly to those families. So we'll do anything from helping a family pay rent to a car payment to gas, food, utilities. One of the saddest things is that you don't want to forget them. You don't want people to forget them. We'll never forget them. So to have his name attached to something that's positive and helping other families go through the same thing that we did is the biggest joy of this whole process. We're doing what we think is helpful to other people and to support them in ways that we would have found, helpful had that support been available to us. It's very satisfying to do this in Nick's memory because that's all we have.
Nick just had a spark that you couldn't put out.
He had a short life, but he packed a lot of life into that 3.5 years.